Hi guys, I'm Amber from Light Living Photography, and I am so excited to be here today and share with you guys my 5 pillars for consistency to attract luxury clients and have a luxury brand. I'm well known for consistency in my work, and that's what has helped me elevate my work to a luxury brand and attract clients who really value me and my artwork. This workshop is definitely for you if you really want to raise your rates, have less clients, and charge more per client because you have a consistent brand. When you niche down to a really specific look and your clients know exactly what they're going to get from you, they're willing to pay more for that service. So it's kind of like when you go to the store and you buy a Gucci bag. Yeah, there are other bags that are cheaper that you can get, but you pay for something that you know is consistently going to be a quality product and it has that name attached to it, that reputation and that consistent look that you really want. So you're willing to pay more for that brand. It's kind of the same thing when you develop a brand in photography. You want a brand that's going to be recognizable and consistent and have a really signature style. Just to let you guys know a little bit about who I am, I was an interpreter for the deaf many, many years. Even alongside photography, I was still interpreting. So that means I have gone through everything, every type of class you can imagine. So every college class I've interpreted, kindergarten up to PhDs, organic chemistry, you name it. So that means that I can take really complicated subjects and concepts and really break them down for you to understand. So I hope that that's what I can apply here for you today in this workshop and give you guys value and something to take away from today. So as an interpreter, I have a heart for serving people as well. And I think that a lot of you guys have that too. And that's kind of one of the issues actually with the photography profession is that we want to serve, and we want to give our clients so much. But in the end, we really need to make this into a profitable business or else it can't last for years and years and years like we really want it to. Next, a little bit about me. I grew up as an artist. I was always painting faces and flowers, and that's a lot of what I incorporate into my brand today. How I became a photographer, I rented a mirrorless camera for my son's first birthday. So like a lot of you guys probably, I wasn't a photographer my whole life. Yes, I was an artist, but I didn't really know anything about photography until my son was 1 year old. And that's when I really started studying and learning and practicing because I was a mom and I wanted to photograph my child. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I really want to photograph all these other amazing moments and these moments for parents to capture. So that's why I've become a motherhood photographer, and that is what my niche is. And I practiced so many times. I did so much trial and error. I did styled shoots, I've done everything, you name it. I started from $50 sessions and then moved up over the years to now charging around $2,000 per session. So if I can do it, you guys can do it too, for sure. Yes, today I'm going to give you 5 elements of consistency and give you some valuable content today. But I do want to let you know ahead of time that I have a full shooting and editing course because in this short amount of time, I can't possibly go over everything you need to be able to achieve all of the elements that I'm talking about today. So if you want to dive into each of these elements and get behind the scenes and a lot more in-depth explanation, definitely go check out my course. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at the end, so stay tuned for that. The first thing I want you guys to know, if you don't have the consistent signature style, you're actually leaving money on the table. Because when you have a signature style, you're going to be attracting someone who really wants a specific look and they are willing to pay a premium for it. If you're doing anything and everything, like different styles of photography, kind of dark and moody, or newborn photography, wedding photography, in all sorts of different lights, all different times of day, and it has a different look and something that you're not really aware of the brand consistency for it, then you're going to be paying for that in not being able to charge enough. Because the type of client that attracts is the type of person who they just want a photographer. Just anybody will do. Yeah, you want them to be nice, but you don't really care exactly what their style is. That's the type of person that isn't willing to pay much for a photographer. But like I said, if you have a really consistent signature look, you're going to attract people who specifically want that look and they're willing to pay for it. Before we move on, let me define for you what a signature style really means. If you're kind of unclear, like, well, what exactly is that? A signature style means in photography, a repeatable and recognizable visual pattern, something that returns to the same color palettes and the same designs, methods, and techniques time and time again. And it is definitely a recognizable visual look to your brand. Consistency is queen. I've definitely had people in my comments and in my DMs say that I am the consistency queen, and I'm happy to wear that crown because after tons of trial and error, as soon as I really narrowed down my signature elements to what achieves my style, it really became like a formula. And then it was really easy to replicate and keep that consistency. And then as soon as I realized that and was doing that over and over again, that's when I had tons of inquiries pouring in, and so much that I had to quickly raise my rates in order to be able to still keep the same amount of sessions that I could really handle in a way that I wanted. So I really want to have a high quality service and be able to give people this really individualized care. And I can't do that if I'm taking on too many sessions. So if I have too many sessions, I know I have to raise my rates. And as soon as I started being super consistent with my work, I was able to quickly do that. The first element we're going to be talking about is location. So if you're a portrait photographer, you do have the luxury of really being picky about your locations and educating your clients about which locations they can choose from, and that's because of certain reasons. So you're going to be looking for certain elements that are consistent to your brand, certain elements that are going to lend themselves to the type of lighting you want, for the type of look you want. So you're not going to just ask your clients, where do you want to shoot? They're going to just say, oh, by the park, by our house, because that's convenient for them, right? But they don't understand photography. They don't understand all of the elements that go into the look that you create. So what you need to do is give them options of places that you have previously scouted and you know are gonna look good and match and be consistent for your brand. You give them those options based on their preferences, yes, but you just let them choose from, okay, great, you live in this area, this location, or this location are the three that I would recommend. And then they'll pick from those spots. You don't have to give them the option of any place in the world because it's actually overwhelming to them and it's gonna create inconsistency in your brand. Element number 2, choose one type of lighting. So this is a big one for me personally. I am really big on backlighting, and a lot of photographers, they for whatever reason, think that they need to shoot in every type of light imaginable. And they'll do front light, side light, backlight, and they don't fully understand what type of lighting goes into the look that they really want. And that can lead to inconsistency in your work and have less luxury clients come into your brand. So I really encourage you, whether you love front light, side light, or backlight, really try to pick one, and for the most part, try to stick to that one style of lighting. The second part with lighting is time of day. If you're a portrait photographer, and even if you're a wedding photographer, the photos that you show on your feed and your website can be chosen at a certain time of day. But if you're a portrait photographer like me, you really have the luxury of controlling that element and educating your clients on why this certain time of day is what is going to achieve your style. It's going to give you the best skin tones, the most flattering look, the most amazing lighting. So you can really talk it up and explain to them, educate them on why it's important to shoot at that time of day. And believe me, once you start to show that consistently in your feed and on your website, that's going to be the look that they want, and they're going to be happy to go along with that, whatever your suggestion is, because they're going to respect your advice as the professional. Element number 3, consistent straight out of camera images. Now, I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. They get in the moment and they're posing and they're in this situation and they go really quickly through, and then they don't really take the time to change their settings throughout the session. So in my course, I really talk about how to stop and take the time to check and make sure that your straight out of camera images are going to be amazing so that your editing later is so much easier. So you need to decide the parameters for your look that you want to achieve, your brand. So if you're someone who really loves to retain the sky color and you really want to underexpose your images a certain amount, pick a certain level of how you want them underexposed and then try to achieve that the entire way through the session and at every session, then that's going to make editing so much easier. If you're someone who maybe overexposes their images, or maybe you're someone who likes to expose exactly for skin tones. So that's how I am. I like to expose it right on the money for how I want my skin tones to look in post, so that I'm not making vast changes with the exposure later on. So definitely try to keep up the consistency with straight out of camera shots. That will make your editing so much more consistent and your brand so much more consistent. The second element to having straight out of camera images that are really consistent and easy to edit is your white balance. So whatever parameters you want for how you want your white balance to look in post is what you should be aiming for in camera, and really tweaking it in camera throughout the session. So sometimes people shoot with the auto white balance, and what happens is that white balance is going to go just all over the place and be a lot more tricky to get really consistent images and a really consistent look. Not to mention, you're going to have difficulty getting that really glowing, creamy skin tone if that's what you're trying to achieve. So exposure parameters and white balance parameters using Kelvin will give you so much more control over your images in camera and in post. Element number 4 can be a little controversial, but for me, it's really, really important for my brand. I really think it's important to have a color palette for your brand and stick with it. So what you can do is send out a style guide to clients. You can educate clients on, this is the style that we are going for. It's the style they see on your feed, on your website. So just educate them on how to create that look. And if that's what they're seeing and they're hiring you, then that's most likely what they want to, and if not, you can refer them to someone else. So here's some examples of what I mean. Here you see on the left an earthy color tone palette, and in all of these you're going to get a really earthy tone to your images. You can pair it with locations that look really good with that, and educate them on how to get that look. For me personally, I'm a light and airy photographer, so I absolutely love the color palette in the middle. And so my style guide is full of images of people wearing clothing that has really soft colors mixed with neutrals, mixed with pastels, even in the fall. So in the fall, you can do a little bit more of an earthy tone, light and airy, but it's a softer look. It's not as dark as that actual earthy tone color palette. So throughout the year, you really want to be consistent about the wardrobe your clients wear, and that comes with educating them. And you can see the one on the right, the bold and contrasted look, that has such a different look. And those colors go well together. So any of these 3 looks can be a really successful luxury brand for sure. But I really think it's important not to grab, light and airy looks and mix it with bold and contrast looks, because next to each other on the feed and the website, it's going to look really disjointed and not have as much of an aesthetic look to the eye. So it's kind of like when you open up a magazine, and if you have really bold and contrast palettes on the left, on the same page, you're going to also see bold contrasted colors that coordinate together. Otherwise, our brains, they don't like it. It just kind of feels really disjointed, and it's just something that psychology-wise, we don't feel like it's as seamless and it doesn't flow together well. So no matter what palette you pick, I think it's important to stick to one, use a style guide, and educate your clients. Element 5, editing. I think it's really important when you're editing to stick to one brand of presets that you love, whether that's your own or one that you purchased, and not try to go between a multitude of presets. So I have a friend who was like, I struggle with consistency. And in the same breath, she also mentioned that she uses tons of different presets. And I'm like, well, that's one of the biggest problems you're having, is using all these different presets. So really try to stick to one method of shooting, and then you can stick to one method of editing and using one preset brand that's going to work for you. And having parameters for how your end result will look in post too. So if you're not quite sure what you're looking for in terms of white balance in your post, and what you're looking for in terms of contrast and exposure, then your edits are going to be all over the place. You're like, one day there's a lot of contrast and really light exposure, and then the other day it's going to be less contrast, more flat, and just really dark exposure. That's not going to attract as much of a high-end client as if you know in the top of your mind what you're looking for when you're editing. So I get it, you guys. I have been there with the sessions that are like $350 and you're taking on too many and you're like, really, with the cost of my equipment and my computer and all the time away from my family, is this really worth it? And you do your taxes at the end of the year and you're like, oh no, I actually paid people to take their photos. And you know what? When you're starting out, nothing wrong with that. But as you're moving past that and you invest in your education and your equipment and you really want to grow and be able to spend more time at home and spend less time editing, you're really going to want to pick a specific brand and signature style so that you can attract clients that are so happy and appreciative of you that they're willing to pay your prices at a premium rate and be thankful and super grateful for it. And that's the kind of business that I love, and I really hope for you guys too. So you guys, you cannot just buy the preset and put it on any photo. Even if you're a good photographer and you understand photography and lighting, if you don't know what I do in camera, you're gonna be disappointed with the preset and it's not gonna work for you. So this photo on the left is a really perfect example. You can't just slap the preset on the photo on the left and have the result look like my photo on the right. The one on the left, I took that when I was very first starting out in photography, and that's my beautiful friend, but I feel so bad that I did not understand settings of aperture and lighting and wardrobe and just how to use composition and white balance and exposure, all of it. None of it was included in this picture. And if you tried to slap a preset, especially my preset on that, it would not look good at all, and it would not have the same look as that photo on the right. The photo on the right is going to include everything you need, like the lighting, the way that I do my settings, everything, and that's gonna be the photo that attracts a high-paying luxury client, not the photo on the left. So it's just super important that we don't try to take shortcuts with just buying a preset, but not really understanding the straight out of camera formula that goes into it beforehand. So if this workshop really spoke to you and you feel like, wow, I really want to get consistency in my brand and I really want to focus on getting an elevated look and attracting a luxury client, then you definitely want to check out my course. Everything in my course is so replicable because I have a formula for how I shoot in camera and how I go into each of these elements for consistency. And there's tons of behind the scenes, everything laid out for you. It's gonna be really simple for you to follow. I have been absolutely obsessed with seeing the massive results and transformations from all of my students who have taken this course. It's really been incredible. And the amount of change they've had in their business is what's the most important part, right? So we want to invest in education that actually changes the bottom line, right? So we're doing our taxes at the end of the year and we don't have a negative number there. So here's just a few examples. If you want to check out so many more testimonials, you can go head to my website. But Izzy says, I'm able to achieve consistent results through shooting and editing. And I have noticed that people are instantly attracted to my style when they see my feed and website. Mandy says, I've been able to confidently raise my prices. Investing in the Light Live and Transformation signature course was one of the best business decisions I made. Jackie, same thing. I've since raised our prices and are booking more high-end clients who truly love quality images and understand fine art photography. And Tanea says it has empowered me to charge more, knowing now that I can confidently nail beautiful light and skin tones, both in camera and in post. Hands down, the best educational investment I have made for my business. Here are just a few of the amazing before and afters to show you guys. Mimi Lee Photography, you can see here the vast difference in her lighting and her wardrobe for her clients, the before and after there on the left. And then same with Izzy here. Her before is a completely different lighting method than her after. She has that beautiful glow, amazing skin tone. One more example from Stephanie. You can see this huge difference between how she composed her photo, how she does the lighting in her photo, pretty much everything involved. And she really utilized my methods here in the photo on the right. And here's another example, amazing before and after from Mandy. And on the left, you can see that location actually could have worked, but at the time she didn't fully understand lighting and where to place her clients. And you see a huge difference in the one after she took the course because now she has the full understanding of placement in a location to get the best results. So this course is going to be for you if you already understand how to shoot in manual mode. You already understand shutter speed, ISO, aperture. You understand what those mean and how they affect the exposure of your photo, but you're not sure how to consistently get the results that you want for that luxury brand. And you really struggle with skin tones. Maybe sometimes they look good and other times they look dull and flat or green and you're not really sure why and it's taking you forever to edit, then this is gonna be the course for you. And you like your work, you're like, yeah, I'm a good photographer, but you really want your work to stand out at that next level, and you can't wait to increase your prices so that you can have less clients, less editing time, more time with your family, and have really more quality sessions with each client rather than tons of sessions at a lower price, then this is definitely the course for you. You're gonna wanna check it out. The best part is this isn't like a semester-long course on photography that includes like every type of photography there is. This is a very specific, narrowed down niche, and you can get through this course in 4 hours and take away massive results in as early as your very next session. So in the course, you're gonna get access to my PDF summary guide, all of my videos with presentations like this where I break it down in detail, all of the behind the scenes and all of the editing videos. And I'm gonna show you behind the scenes, a sneak peek into that right now. Okay, so here I want to give you guys a special sneak peek into the course. But first, I'm going to tell you where to find it. So you're going to go to my website, lightlivinphotography.com. You can click on education. And here you're going to see a bunch of great educational resources that I offer. And the family posing course is there as well, which you definitely want to check out. But today I want to show you the Light Livin' Transformation course. Okay, so here's what I really want to show you though. Each module is broken down on here so you can see in more depth. So I go into why I choose the time of day I do, how I educate clients on why that time of day works. What about it is what really creates my style, how to location scout like an expert. So my exact thought process on exactly what I'm looking for in different locations. I show so many different locations, but I'm looking for certain elements in each location to create the look that I want. And that has to do with lighting, negative space, what I call nature walls are something that you want to avoid, and I go into depth on how to avoid that. And I walk you through all sorts of different types of locations, which types of trees look best. I have people message me after like, oh my gosh, I see trees and light in a totally different way now. What app I use to location scout and see exactly where the lighting will be, all of that good stuff. And then I get into the really nitty gritties of my lighting and how exactly to master the lighting exactly like I do. So go through all of these things here. I have my exact 7 steps you can follow to achieving backlighting without orange haze, without that hazy lack of contrast or that like super goldeny look that is very moody, but it's not going to work for this style. So we want that beautiful glow and lighting without that haziness or that fuzziness or that oranginess. So there's definitely an approach to exactly where you place your client and what angles are there. All of that. I go into it in the course. And then composition is also super important for your work to really stand out and have it be a scroll stopping image on Instagram and get your clients to go wow and stop and go and look at your page. Equipment, of course, we got to go into that, menu settings, all of that. Manual settings. So this is super important. We do not want to skip this part. Manual settings for exposure, for white balance, etc. Exactly what parameters I'm looking for,
straight out of camera, because again, straight out of camera photos are what creates a style, not so much the edit. Yeah, the edit's like the cherry on top of the cake, but it's not going to create the whole cake. You can't really, the secret to a style is the way you light your photos, and the way you do your white balance is also really important. So white balance, I go into using Kelvin. I know a lot of courses don't really go into that. So it was something that I really wanted to teach, and teach it well and teach it simplified. So I show you my screen recording of me actually setting my Kelvin and if I need to adjust the tint, I show you how to do that in camera as well to get your amazing skin tones just right in camera. So your edit is super easy. Client wardrobe for having really high-end clients. I'm going to go over my exact emails, my coaching, how I educate my clients on that, and then how I sprinkle in some of my own wardrobe as well. And then lastly, the fun part, the light live and edit. I have all my seasonal presets that are really similar, but just slight tweaks depending on the season. So I have a whole video on mastering greens. So just greens, I know, can be a struggle for people. So I created a whole section on that in the editing portion. And I go into spring, fall, winter, and summer, what tweaks I would make. And I have brushes and specific things for super bright neon grass. I have all the training you need to really get your eye used to how to do greens in this style. I also have some editing videos on non-diffused light and diffused. So I have different lighting scenarios, cloudy light editing examples, indoor studio edit. All my tools and my 2 special brushes are included as well. So my presets are a bonus. You don't have to pay $250 extra for my presets. They are a bonus included with the course, but we don't want you to skip ahead and just try to do the edit without all these sections. It's so important to not skip a single section in this course because they all go into achieving this style. And here's an example of here's straight out of camera image, what I'm going for in camera, and then the simple, beautiful edit, before, after. Okay, here's another example, before, straight out of camera, after. So this is literally straight out of my camera, you guys. 0 editing, 0 tweaking. This is what it looks like, and then after. So I'm going to teach you how to do both in this one course. And as you can see here, also in addition to the presentations that I give with all of the detailed formula for you, you also get a ton of behind the scenes. So there's 7 or 8. There's going to be one more new beach session added soon. But right now there's at least 7 different behind the scenes sessions to choose from to watch, and you can see exactly how I light, exactly where I place my clients, what I'm looking for as I move throughout the session. And this is the back end of what your course will look like when you get it. This is my login, so it might be just a teensy bit different, but you'll see the introduction, time of day videos, location scouting videos, all the lighting videos, and there's a ton of behind the scenes here. Composition, equipment, manual settings, all the good stuff that I went over. But then I also wanted to point out here, you get tons of different editing videos. So I break it down. I have a specifically editing white balance, editing for skin tones, editing greens, undiffused light. I talk about all of my presets and my special brushes that are included as a bonus, so you can download them here, see a really easy video on how to download those and everything.
That's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed watching the 5 elements for consistency to attract the luxury clients that you've always wanted and you really truly deserve. Today, for watching this workshop, you're going to get a special gift for a discount in your inbox. So definitely check that out. That's going to be for this week only. So make sure you let me know if you have any questions. Always feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. Also, I have a private Facebook group just for the LLT course students, and I hope to see you guys in there. Please let me know if you have any questions on Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.